Hello, beautiful people. I will skip all the introduction and tell you what I think the balance is for me right now. I see balance as a swing somewhere on the hill tied to a tree in a faraway village. And unless I'm on that swing, the only thing that moves it is the wind. But I didn't start there, so let me back up a little. It's 2020, COVID time. I'm at home, finally have time for something else than homework and some dance classes. And I think to myself, you know what? Let me watch every single video on YouTube about how to be productive. I decided to become the best version of myself. There weren't that many people who were preaching all this productivity mindset. There were no, influencers as we see right now that talked about wellness. So I'm pretty sure I watched every single video on productivity. And I started doing things. Whatever I could do at home, I would just do it. Around 2022, I moved to United States. And after that, I was still a very productive person. I did everything and anything that I could. I had so many ideas in my mind and ambitions. And at some point, I got very, very tired. With help of my therapist at 2024, I began my journey into slowing down my life and not being so demanding and not being so judgmental of myself if I don't relax. It's like you couldn't relax anymore because any single time you get a chance to sit down and exhale, all of a sudden there is this voice in your head that is telling you, oof, you know what? You don't deserve it. You could have been doing something better right now. In fact, you could have been reading even if I don't want to. Because it's kind of a leisure thing, don't you think? You can make your relaxing productive too. You should try that. So I finally went on that journey to finally be able to relax. I do think it's almost like an awareness thing, because when people started being productive and posting that on social media, everyone else understood that, you know what, I'm missing out on that. I should be productive. And then once people got fed up with just being productive and not having more to their life and not slowing down and having their cortisol high and having to regulate their nervous system, everyone started posting about that. And eventually people started relaxing together. People started seeing that on internet and understood, you know what, I think I have the same problem. Let me back up and do the same. So I'm healing, I'm resting, I'm trying to have slow life. I'm trying to have my morning and evening routine and then throughout the day routine. And I'm trying to lower my cortisol level and regulate my nervous system. I'm trying to do all of that. And you know what? At some point it worked. I became a boring person and I really, really loved it. It was in 2025, I would say, that finally I was like, okay, yeah, I know how to slow down. I know how to say no to things that I know I will resent by Tuesday. And I think this year I started noticing this thing that I feel like I'm missing something. And I thought that I'm just not living slow enough, that there is like a secret routine, secret thing that can make me feel better, because I felt like I'm almost there, but I'm just missing something. And the truth is that I was not missing anything about the slow life. I didn't not heal well enough. And on the other hand, I didn't miss being busy either. But what I really, really missed is the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of doing something and seeing it move, seeing some results, feeling accomplishment, feeling ambition, to be honest. I just miss having the feeling of ambition, because at some point, like certain things like read 100 books or have like million subscribers by the end of the year stopped exciting me. Like my priorities changed, and on the other hand, a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish, I kind of already did accomplish already. Like there was nothing that I wanted to like, oh, I gotta go to the gym and become the best version of myself. I'm gonna be honest, I love myself. I go to the gym because I like to go to the gym. I love my relationships, my family relationships. I loved a lot of things about my life, and at some point, like, I still was not happy. I still wasn't satisfied. I still was missing something. And when I understood that, I was like, okay, maybe it's not about me being slower or me having a better life. I genuinely just miss being productive, and I genuinely just miss having the ambition. And as soon as I went on a journey of slowing down and being less productive, I started telling myself this sentence: I'm relaxing right now because I never let myself to relax. And somehow this sentence outlived the problem. And somewhere between repeating it, it became an unspoken rule that trying hard isn't allowed anymore. Actually, that's exactly how I felt at that moment. Slowing down came with an unspoken rule that trying hard is not allowed for me anymore. And I feel like we all have sentences like these. Something that was true once but we keep repeating it even after it stopped being true, simply because we need to prove that we've grown. And all this example is about balance, because as you can see, there was no balance in here at all. And that's when I understood that balance is not a tightrope and you just walk on there trying to balance everything that is on your plate. No, it's not. And it's not a 100% battery, and it's not a scale where you stand and you want everything to be 50-50. I understood that balance resembles a swing. A swing. Collecting all the different experiences throughout my life of me changing and me trying to be a different person, I understood that balance is indeed a swing, and the more you go to the left, the more you will end up to the right later on. The more extreme you go in one way, the more extreme you're gonna end up in another way. And this productivity / slow living thing is one of the examples. I went so far to the left that I decided, you know what, I don't need that. I want a different life. I will find a balance, which was not balancing at all. I simply went to another extreme, slow living. There was no balance there at all. I thought there was. It's almost like the balance is a trade-off, and the more you go to the left, the more you will have to go to the right to compensate that. Some other examples where I did notice that I also lacked this balance and I misperceived the balance was me being a people pleaser. When I was younger, I didn't know that no can exist in your vocabulary. I was nice, I was smiley, I was a ray of sunshine, and I simply really wanted everyone to like me, and I simply really wanted to be a people pleaser. So at some point, I'm like, hell no! I don't want to do this anymore. And I started watching all these videos and reading books and trying to gain confidence and trying to say no. And you know what? At some point, I became not a people pleaser, but a people meaner. And neither version was wrong. Neither version was like super bad. And I was the worst person in both of these sides. But the truth was that I didn't like any of these sides. It takes some time and it takes a lot of self-awareness to understand that you don't enjoy being in that part of your life like this, that this is not about you anymore. So at some point I sit down and I'm like, I don't like that part, but I also don't like that part. But how come? If me being a people meaner should have been a balance. It was not a balance. It was the opposite side, because I went left and then I had to go right. And it was necessary for me to see that I don't like both sides. Again, there was nothing wrong with me in any of those eras of my life. There was nothing wrong there. I just needed to be there to see that I don't like being there, that I don't like being like this. And I think the third example is actually the example that I relate to the most. And I just had this idea actually today in the gym. I was thinking, what are some other ways that balance is like a swing, that it's in our life, but we just don't notice it yet? And it's being perfect. It's all or nothing mentality. The more perfect you go to the left and you want something else to be perfect, the more you will go to the right and do nothing. And I caught myself doing this a lot of times, just because I'm not ready, just because I don't look the best, just because I don't have the best ideas, the best equipment, the best place, the best environment, the best vocabulary, anything. Just because I am not perfect, I'm not gonna do anything. It's like the less you try to do everything, the less you end up doing nothing. It's like a contradiction, but on the other hand, when I imagine a swing, it makes sense in my head, and I hope it makes sense in your head too. Every time, the opposite became a fix. You could literally see the pattern. Productivity became rest, people-pleasing became being mean, and perfection became doing nothing at all. And every time I got to each side, I understood that I don't want to be there. I don't like any of these sides. And that's when I understood, oh, wait. So what I thought about balance was wrong. And to be honest, even picking the sides, I think we've been doing it wrong. I used to love these videos that it's like, there is no balance without this. And it's like a person working out, and then on the other hand, a person just slacking and laying in bed and doing nothing. Then a person eating healthy, then having a burger and a drink. I used to think, wow, that's so true. It makes me feel so much better about myself, knowing that some people do right and wrong things. First of all, there's nothing wrong or right in this life, okay? There are things that you do, there are decisions that you make, actions that you take, and then there are consequences to your decisions and to your actions. Whether you like that outcome or you don't like it will define whether you think it's right or you think it's wrong. Because Well, let's be honest, we all want to avoid negative emotions, negative feelings, negative outcomes. So when we get something that we don't like how it makes us feel, we want to avoid it in the future and we call it wrong. Anyway, the video is not about that. But again, working out today, I was thinking to myself, the truth is that when I skip workouts, when I don't move my body throughout the day, I don't feel like I live a balanced life. I really feel better if I move my body. It doesn't matter whether that's a workout with weights, if that's a walk that is very long, if that's just cardio day, if I just go to the gym and do a 15-minute video workout, or I do it at home. I don't care. I just feel better if I move every single day. The truth is that the balance to working out is not skipping workouts. It's recovery. It's recovery. The more intense your workout is, the longer your recovery is gonna be. And if you go for a 10-minute run today, that doesn't mean that you need the whole other day to skip, just so you can balance it out. No, the truth is you will need a few hours to recover. And you will most likely be able to go for a run next day. We kept looking for the opposite action when the real opposite was actually not about the stopping. It was the action that we owed afterwards. And there are two ways how I optimize balance right now. The first one is when I'm the one sitting on the swing and I'm trying to go to different direction. At first, it may seem logical that the bigger spectrum you're gonna have, the less those extremes gonna be extreme. What worked for me the most is narrowing it. Because let's be honest, it's life and there will be times when you have to do a little bit more work. I mean, even think about your day. You wake up in the morning and your swing goes to the right because you have a slow morning routine, and then you go to the gym, so your swing goes to the left, and then you come back home, take your time with reading a book and having your breakfast, and the swing goes to the right again, and then you start working and the swing goes a lot to the left, and then you have to wind down after work and then your swing goes to the right. I mean, I think it's just life, it's never gonna be perfectly balanced. It's never gonna be 50-50. It's never gonna be a perfect scales of work-life balance, of your dreams and then just resting balance, of ambition and non-ambition balance. I don't even think it's about controlling how narrow it is. I feel like sometimes you can do it, but sometimes you really can't. It's about observing how high you went in one direction so you can know how far you'll have to go into another direction too. And the second thing that moves my swing is the wind, as I noticed in the beginning. And at first I thought it makes more sense to say that the wind is like external things that, keep happening to you and you just can't control them. I don't know, it just didn't feel really right. And I understood that it's all about priorities, to be honest. How the wind blows really depends on the priorities that you have, on values that you have, on goals that you have. It's really about knowing what's worth your energy and what is not worth your energy. For example, my last semesters in school, we aren't very stressful because my priority was not having good grades anymore. I was not stressing out about that. I was not stressing out about, learning, being the best at things that I will not use in the future. I would take time, I would learn, but I would not let it stress me out too much, simply because, it's not my priority anymore. It reminds me of being in the theater and there are different actors on stage and different actor has different role, which means they will get different time on the stage. They will be under the spotlight or they will not be under the spotlight. And the thing is that you're the writer. You are the person that gives roles to your to-do list, to the things you should be worrying about. You are the author that gives value to those characters. And you are the one deciding who's going to be under spotlight, who's the main character here, whose time will be very short, but their impact will be very big. And in the past, some actors, some things, they had the whole act to themselves. But now they take less than a minute and then I move on. And kind of assigning those roles, assigning how important it's going to be, who deserves, sometimes there are going to be few actors on the stage and you have to say who deserves the spotlight more in that moment. And knowing that really puts a lot of stuff that you worry about at the backstage. So probably one of the biggest outcomes from this video is that there is no freeze in the middle. It's a swing. It always moves, even if you're not sitting on it. it always moves because of the wind, because of some things that happen to you in your life. But how strong the wind is really depends what priorities you have in your life right now. What is important to you right now? What will make an impact in your life right now? And instead of asking myself where and how do I find balance and where am I unbalanced in my life, I started asking how do I make my worst days less extreme? Because that question actually has an answer. It's tangible and it's way easier to answer because it's so concrete. In the beginning, my swing was probably somewhere in a very loud, crowded playground where kids are screaming and they're running uncontrollably. And they all try to do a 360 on that swing. They don't know that it goes left and right. They just want to go full, in Ukraine we call it like to make a sun, to do a sun. And now when I think about balance, it's just this beautiful image. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. Somewhere in different cartoons you just can see this image of a swing. It's a wooden swing somewhere on the hill far away. You can see it from the barn, and then there's this very old, big old tree, and there are some, things that people hide there like 10 years ago, and then you go there again when you're older and you sit and you reminisce and you swing lightly, you don't go full-blown 360, you just swing lightly and then you get out from there and then you go back home, but you can still see that the swing is moving because there's wind there, and it's just so beautiful and peaceful, and there is still movement to it and change to it. I don't know, it feels very nice image in my head. At the end of the day, I don't think the swing ever stops. I just changed what is allowed to push it, and I changed how much I am allowed to push it to. Don't forget to be awesome and balanced. Bye.